fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, see. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Yoo-hoo! Coolest man alive here. How's it going? What's up? You're listening to the Coolest Geek Alive. I got in a little early, and I wanted to jump in on this immediately, but I needed to think a little bit longer about what my feelings were about Five Nights at Freddy's, because I saw it last night in like a sneak preview thing that I had to pay extra for on the Regal app. Actually, my girlfriend paid extra for it. She didn't tell me that she was doing that. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. I shouldn't take credit for her buying us tickets. But it was really, it was really cool. I'm gonna try to keep this this review to be, what's it called? Spoiler light, and I'll start with like no spoilers, as minimal as possible, and then I'm gonna talk about the movie just sort of like in vague terms, but not get into like a lot of specifics. So if you don't think too hard about it, you're not gonna not gonna ruin anything for yourself. So I kind of feel like the movie is the second coming of Super Mario, the recent animated film, which did so well, in that, at the very least, superficially, it really looks like the thing that we like. I am a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's because my kids have been into it. I've got 4 kids, ranging from, like, what are we at now, 14 to 7. So there's been a certain amount of Five Nights at Freddy's gameplay and a lot of viral videos, things using footage from Five Nights at Freddy's. And I remember seeing it a long time ago going, what the hell is this? This is kind of creepy as this is creepy as fuck, children. And I played it with them at some point, and it is, it's a really creepy game. If you've ever played Five Nights at Freddy, I'm guessing probably a lot of the people who are listening to this might have some familiarity with it. And there's a lot of really great viral videos of songs and stuff, things that have been cut to the footage of these creepy characters. Also, I'm a toy guy, collectibles guy, so there's been, Five Nights at Freddy's collectibles coming out that I've seen, and been able to see some of the depths of some of these things. I've only played a little bit, and my exposure is largely through my children, but I was super excited for this movie. Granted, I when I get excited for something, I'm nervous that maybe it won't be good. So I try to warn myself if it's looking bad. So when I started to see some headlines about the movie that said it wasn't good, I went in with low expectations. I listened to a couple of these, reviews without spoiling anything for myself, just to see if it was something that I needed to know, like for these films that are based on things that I love. If they're going to make some big diversion from the source material, it's always better for me to know that going in than it is for me to find out while I'm watching the movie. Because while I'm watching the movie, I'll just be like, what? Oh, come on. And I don't want to have a seizure in the middle of a movie that I'm watching. So I try to avoid seizures by warning myself of stupid decisions that have been made prior to viewing them. So I did try to do this with Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm not sure how much it necessarily affected I'm sure it probably did. I'm sure that if you have relatively high expectations for this, which you might, because it is such a cool property and it has demonstrated that it has something to it that's really visceral and cool, and can they bring that to life? And in some fashions, they bring some of that to life. I can't say that they hold any of that atmosphere for very long. I was hoping, especially with this being a PG-13, whatever, that this was going to be, a lot of kind of creepy jump scares and, I don't know, dread sort of scenarios where people are being stalked and more creepiness. And that's not exactly what you get here. I'll say, it gets pretty in your face in violent ways and in non-violent ways. So it's pretty well balanced on that level of things. The story that they tell is really off-putting, because my complaint the whole time was that it needed to tie into the thing, the main storyline with Freddy, because we didn't care. Every single time it happened, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about this. Who cares? Put me to sleep. Because it seemed to have nothing to do with Freddy, and it ultimately does connect, but those entanglements they just lead to so many more questions, but not in a good way. it just sort of confuses. I would call the plot of the movie as it goes along and gets together. It gets to a place of sort of confusion, of how exactly they tie in, the main character's story ties in, which seems like it doesn't tie in and will bore you, because you'll be like, okay, go back to Freddy's where we want to hang out. So those bits of the movie are definitely a bit of a snooze fest. Even though, I don't know, pay attention better than I did when you see it, because perhaps it does connect better and explain itself into the second act of the film. How exactly, I don't know, how exactly the law, it's very much at the beginning of the film or whatever, but he's suffered a loss, and somehow it connects to this thing, but it seems to not connect to this thing in any way, shape, or form. And all the scenes where he's talking about it are just not connecting with this thing. I was like, he's telling a story to this girl, this female character who's a police officer who he talks to, and I was like, why aren't they having this conversation in Freddy's? They're outside somewhere, and I'm just like, what, this conversation would be so much better if it was in Freddy's, and somewhere in the middle of it you heard a bang. What was that? I don't know. Well, we're in Freddy's, so the audience is interested. But but they would do things like that. They're like, let's go have a conversation at their house. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to where Freddy is, because that's where the interesting stuff is happening. There was a whole bunch of sort of swerves on, I guess, the gore. But in swerving on the gore, which they do show, what I'm speaking about in particular is a sort of a really cool plot device reveal that me and my girlfriend both really liked, but it sort of raised a lot of questions that weren't satisfied in any way. So instead it ends up feeling like just sort of a throwaway piece of dialogue, a stifled kind of thing that's only slightly demonstrated at the end in some small way. It really just makes you wonder what's going on underneath these puppets, but in a pretty unsatisfying way, I would say. I think hearing a review like this will help you enjoy it much better if you haven't seen it. And hopefully I think I've done a really good job of disguising, any sort of plot stuff and just speaking in vagaries. So, it's worth your time, because the big thing is it looks the part. It so looks like Five Nights at Freddy's. And I actually had to stop a kid who was wearing like a Five Nights at Freddy's hat and shirt outside the theater because I'm in California right now. I'm about to go back to New York for Halloween. Yay, gonna go to my babies, and I'll be back in New York for a while. Broadcasting from there. I've been broadcasting from California. Had a nice little trip out here. Been shooting a music video for my band Dilf USA. Pretty soon, I've been having trouble with it, but our theme song will be available on like Spotify and all the different places through Dilf USA. Dilf USA has a couple singles out right now, a Christmas song and a song called Shit the Bed, which is pretty funny. It's about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's relationship. We made a video. It's pretty humorous. You will enjoy it. But we've just been working on a new music video, and that's about to drop in a little bit. And I'm just I'm excited. I'm excited about everything that's going on with Dilf USA and all this stuff. Wish we could have got together a few gigs while we were out here in California, but we couldn't get it done. But today, I'm actually going to go shoot another music video. But I wanted to get this out as fast as possible, so people who were looking for any amount of like, should I, shouldn't I, for this movie, I think you definitely should. And there's some really cool like things that I can notate about the whole thing. The main thing is the puppets or suits or whatever they used, animatronics, are made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, and just so happy to see Jim Henson's Creature Shop continuing to kick ass. I got to visit the Creature Shop when it moved out to Los Angeles. They had a building, and a good friend of mine let me in and brought me around, and I got to see some Skeksis and some really cool stuff from Dark Crystal, and I mean, just they had like at least a puppet or two from every major production that Jim Henson's Creature Shop or the Muppets are associated with. You know, something from Sesame Street and something from the Muppet Show, and just a little bit of everything from some of their more obscure stuff, like what was the show, the Jim Henson's Creature Hour, and he had a couple kind of weirdo shows. I don't remember what the names of them were. I used to have them on DVD that were burnt for me as like fan copies, but they had lots of that stuff, just all sorts of effects too that I recognized from various films. And I used to seek out all the Jim Henson Creature Shop movies just to go see the different things. I remember they had creature effects from the Storyteller series. I really like the Storyteller series. There's a couple episodes of the Storyteller series that I watch over and over again. It's there's one with all these little devils, and I highly recommend you go find it. I forget what it's called though, but I'm sure if you find Little Devils and Jim Henson's Storyteller, you'll seek it out. Anyway, the Creature Shop is awesome. They're responsible for the Ninja Turtles, Mighty Joe Young. I mean, just like so many different things that they brought to life. When you go back and you see some of these movies and you see the practical effects, which are just, for me, so missed. The computer technology still isn't really there, because it's only as good as like the artist can spend time on this stuff and spend what it costs to make these films as incredible as, say Gollum in Lord of the Rings. That was always like my metric when I saw Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and how really well done that was. And you saw so many ways that they were like adjusting it and working with it, trying to make it play all the time when you watch that, those Lord of the Rings films. And then you go watch like the next things that came out, and so much I don't think has ever reached that performance and connection. Actually, I mean the Planet of the Apes films, where Andy Serkis came in and did those, I think actually are pretty good too. There are some where the studios are willing to put in the money, but like Marvel Studios or whatever, it just looks silly so much of the time. and it's definitely an amount of man hours and and work behind the scenes to get it done ahead of time and get it done right and designed correctly and not redesigned on the spot all the time, which is something that they do because they're like, we'll change it as we go. But it's a lot of time for all of these artists to do this stuff, and to get it done right and have these movies look as good as they could, it really takes time and money. And the practical effects, I think, are just a little bit more practical in terms of, if you do it right, you can utilize these same things for a sequel. A lot of these films are built to last, and it makes sense to do practical effects. Practical effects are really important. It's a lost art form. I'm so glad that people like Guillermo del Toro exist and keep it alive. It just is just so important. And, I think for something like this in particular, dude, if these were fucking... seriously, if these were CGI... robot thing, like, I would have hated it. It was not. It was all puppets, and it was good. It looked good. It looked cool. I would say that the story was very convoluted, and that it's not I don't know. The baseline story is relatively simple and satisfying, and I think has roots in the mythology of like the games and stuff. Some of the execution is very much like the games and stuff that I've seen. Other bits I haven't seen, but I haven't played the game in a long time. You'll get to spend plenty of time really with these, creature shop creatures. And the time that you spend with them is cool. It's cool to see them on camera. They look great. I mean, Jim Henson's Creature Shop has given them their monsters. The star of the film is Freddy, and they absolutely honored the look of these toys that I've been seeing and the game that I played and every piece of video that I've seen. Like they didn't do their interpretation. It looks like the thing. It is really an accurate representation of something that clearly people really have been enjoying already. So I really like, kudos to Jim Henson's Creature Shop for doing such a good job, and the studio for also allowing that to be the case. I don't know if that was a mandate that came from them or that was something that was a choice that the Creature Shop did. Let's bring this to life for the kids. Like, that's thing one. If you bring it to life for us, like one of the things why MODOK sucked was it wasn't even freaking MODOK. He wasn't scary in Ant-Man Quantumania. He looked like a goof. It was a goof. You were making fun of that character. This was like something terrible that you did to that character as a joke. That's not MODOK. MODOK is it's like a joke what's happened to him, but it's a real cruel joke, and he's scary, and he's bitter, and he's evil, and he's mean, and he has mad scientist minions because he's like this experiment that came to life or whatever else. The things have to be treated with respect for what it is that that we were digging about it in the first place, and the visual when it comes to these games, because it's like, these are worlds that we get into, and you get into the world. So even if, let's say, the world isn't super appealing to you, but you just spend hours in that world, it just behooves you to bring that world to life as opposed to just do something else that you want to do. Story-wise, the fan that I spoke to, and he was like a super fan, according to his girlfriend, and according to the Freddy hat that he was wearing and Freddy T-shirt that he was wearing, and enthusiasm that he said he really enjoyed it. But he really enjoyed it, but it was clear that he didn't think it was like high art or anything. He was just like, yeah, it's really good, and it is really good. And the big strength of it comes from just the fact that they brought Freddy and his crew to life, and they were creepy and cool and scary. I wish that they had done a little bit more with them on that side of things. But it was good, and I'm really excited now because I feel like there's like a spiritual sequel that I get to go watch, because there's some Nicolas Cage movie called Something in Slumberland or something like that, or Slappy something. It's a recent Nicolas Cage movie, and here, I'll pause and I'll find out what it is. Okay, it's called Willy's Wonderland, and it's a hard R, I guess, version of this thing. So I'm excited. It's funny that they slipped it in so fast, because I've been saying for a while, man, if I was a studio, I would very quickly grab this license or do something like it. So it was interesting to see that pop up, and I didn't hear about it until I heard about Freddy. So it's become a little bit more famous now, but I guess it probably got a little bit of notoriety at the time as well, because of the wonderful premise. I saw some cool like quotes about it and stuff, so I'm excited to watch that probably tonight with my girl. What is it that I also have to say about this? I don't know. It's a Saturday morning. I feel like it's a review. Might as well keep it short, right, so that you guys will actually listen to it. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna wrap it up right here. But I wanted to say about Lord of the Rings that you never forget, Lord of the Rings trilogy only cost $281 million. So $281 million. I mean, that's worth $494 million today. But still, it just really just says like how much can be done when you're economical about these things, and then what the dividends of making this stuff correctly is. And I really think that they've done a good job here. I think this is foundationally really good. I think it's going to be very strong. I hope they continue to build out the story in a more interesting way and do a little better with that side of things next time around. But I really liked it, and I think you should check it out. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm your buddy Jesse Blaze Snyder. You can write to me at jesseblaze@jessesnyder.com. I love you all so much. I appreciate you listening to my show, and I hope you'll join me again next Saturday and this coming Wednesday for another awesome episode of the coolest Geek Alive.
It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I played that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout.
You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. It's got to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gotta be fucking awesome. Just wait. see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. Hooray!